And it usually takes me like 25 minutes total, but I'm not even about halfway, so.
Coming up now on Midday, a traffic nightmare on I-15. Hear what we know about a crash this morning that shut down the freeway in both directions.
As soon as I saw it, I just knew immediately had to call 911 and get somebody there.
Plus, a man jumps into action to save a driver trapped in his van on I-80. Hear what he did when he saw a rollover crash on his way to work this morning.
And the chance for wet weather in northern Utah will gradually end as we go throughout the rest of the day, while southern Utah gets more blowing dust and an elevated fire risk. We'll break down the details on Midday that starts right now.
Live, we're there for you. ABC4 News Midday starts now.
Thanks for joining us for Midday. I'm Brian Carlson.
And I'm Jillian Smuckler.
We begin this hour in Davis County, where road crews spent a good part of the morning clearing out a crash that for a time shut down I-15 in both directions. Just look at the traffic backups it caused earlier this morning on southbound I-15. A power line fell on the freeway and caused a semi to crash on I-15 there at Parrish Lane in Centerville. Now that freeway has since reopened as traffic is now cleared out. But many drivers are wondering, how did this happen? ABC4's Ali Arulian is live where that power line fell. So Ali, what made the line come down?
Well, Bountiful City Power actually just telling me that the rain caused a fire. Now, how does that happen? Well, you can see the pole right behind me where it caught fire. Because of that rain making moisture outside of that wooden pole, the electricity redirected to that moisture and caught that wooden pole on fire. Now, thankfully, these lanes are all opening up, but that power line falling was just the first of a chain reaction that caused a major traffic jam. A power line malfunctioning, falling onto the freeway.
When that power line was down, we had a train hit it, and we also had a semi hit it that was going southbound.
From there, things get worse.
After the semi hit it, it rolled and was blocking all lanes of traffic southbound.
The semi full of produce crashing into the median, overturning, spilling food and diesel, and sending concrete debris into northbound lanes, according to UHP.
There was 6 cars that were damaged from the debris.
Both the I-15 northbound and southbound in Centerville initially being shut down, northbound opening up quickly afterwards, southbound traffic waiting much longer for things to clear up.
So yeah, it's taken 5 hours pretty much.
UHP saying the traffic stretched over 8 miles back. Drivers stuck in the congestion saying the traffic was pretty much a parking lot.
I couldn't even get on the freeway. There was back-to-back cars and going 5 miles an hour. It was insane.
A commute taking 15 minutes, now taking,
I think, about an hour.
And she's not alone. One driver saying it took him 45 minutes just to get from Layton to Centerville on his commute to Salt Lake.
And it usually takes me like 25 minutes total, but I'm not even about halfway, so.
UHP saying if you come across a power line on the road, stop, turn your hazards on, call 911, and do not drive across it.
You never know if it's still live or not, so just be careful out there when lines are down.
Now, thankfully, no major injuries were reported. So be sure to be careful on these roads today, and thankfully everything is all cleared up. Reporting live in Centerville, I'm Ali Arulian, ABC4 News.
Glad everyone's okay. Thank you, Allie. New on Midday, a rollover crash on I-80 sends one man to the hospital. Utah Highway Patrol says a man lost control of his minivan this morning and crashed on I-80 near Parley's Canyon. Now, ABC4 News spoke with a man who watched it all happen and called 911. He says the van drifted to the side of the road, crashed into a rock wall right there, and then flipped over. We're told he immediately pulled over and ran to help the man trapped inside.
Bloodied. That was the first thing I noticed, is that his body had mud all over it and his face had blood all over it.
He says it was snowing at the time of the crash, so he brought the driver to his truck to keep him warm until crews arrived. We're told the driver was shaken up and bloody, but seemed to be doing okay. He's recovering in the hospital as troopers try to figure out what happened.
What a frightening morning. And happening now, the TV personality known as Dog the Bounty Hunter is in Utah trying to solve the murders of 2 women in Moab. The reality TV star and private investigator posted on social media he's coming to town to look into the deaths of Crystal Turner and Kylan Schulte. The 2 women's bodies were found at a campsite just outside of Moab last August. Dog says Schulte's father asked him to step in to help. Meanwhile, a local private investigator hopes the bounty hunter's star power can help get this case solved.
He does have national recognition. He does have international appeal. It's going to turn the cameras into the area and start a conversation about the Kylan Schulting, Chris Turner case all over again.
Now, Dog and his team are asking people to check any cameras or drones from any footage you may have from mid-August of last year.
In an update, we now know the name of the man hit and killed by a front-runner train in Murray. Utah Transit Authority says 20-year-old Ernst Lynch crossed the tracks on Saturday while the arm was down. We're told he waited for a train to pass but didn't realize one was coming from the opposite direction. He started riding across the tracks and was hit and killed. Now, UTA is reminding people to wait until the gate is up and the lights are off before crossing.
You know, we've had this now happen 2 times in about the last 3 weeks, and we really want to caution people. You should always be careful around a railroad crossing, but after these 2 incidents, it really should heighten everybody's awareness.
We're told Lynch was on an electric bike delivering pizza when he was hit. He died on scene there.
And in Utah County, search and rescue right now are looking for a man on a motorcycle who got stuck in the snow up Maple Canyon. These are photos and maps of the area the Utah County Sheriff's Office posted on social media. They say a 65-year-old man from nearby Hobble Creek Canyon called his family last night saying he was stuck in the snow. When they couldn't get a hold of him anymore, emergency crews responded. They found his motorcycle about 8,200 feet up, but not him. They have a helicopter, ground crews, and a mounted posse out looking for him again today.
Today, we're learning more about more human remains found at Lake Mead over the weekend. This comes just 1 week after a body was found in a barrel there. The National Park Service says 2 sisters made this discovery while out paddleboarding on Saturday. Now, hear what they thought it was before realizing it was human remains.
At first, I thought it was a bighorn sheep, and we kind of started digging around a little bit. As we discovered the jaw, we realized it was human remains, and that's when we contacted park rangers to come and investigate.
For the longest time, I was in disbelief. Like, I did not think that we actually just came upon human remains. I thought that, I was like, this has to be rocks. This is still rocks. It's rocks. Nope, it's definitely remains.
Right now, the Clark County Coroner's Office is working to identify those remains. Now, authorities expect to find even more bodies dumped in that lake as the water levels continue to drop. So let's check in with meteorologist Thomas Gieboy. And Thomas, unfortunately, it seems like these dried up lakes we're seeing are going to become a common theme this summer, really.
Well, we saw it with Lake Powell last summer, and we are seeing it with Lake Mead now, and those water levels, unfortunately, could continue to drop. So our drought situation is not very good. Thankfully, Mother Nature was at least providing something this morning, and we even saw some snow along the Wasatch Front. This was the view from the northern Wasatch Front in Clinton, sent in by Rick A. with a nice little light dusting there, while our mountains definitely got more than that. But one place where we saw steady snow from the overnight was Utah State University in Logan. The roadways, they were running on the slick side, but you can definitely tell on those elevated surfaces we had the snow sticking there. In northern Utah, we're still seeing some snow in our higher elevations, also very close to the Utah-Idaho line. That chance will gradually dwindle from this afternoon into this evening, and we're still seeing some times of snow up at Deer Valley, and we'll take all the moisture that Mother Nature will give us. Then down in St. George with our Dixie Tech camera, we got more areas of blowing dust. Thankfully, it's not as bad compared to the last couple of days, but you're going to notice it. And we're going to see even more blowing dust with an elevated fire risk down in southwestern Utah as we go from today also into tomorrow. Temperature is going to be well below our seasonal average, 53 in Salt Lake City, 71 degrees in St. George. And tomorrow will be a little bit warmer, then will be warmer going into Wednesday before another disturbance arrives Wednesday into Thursday. We'll break down those details coming up in your forecast in a few minutes.
Yeah, buckle up for more. Thank you, Thomas. We're getting our first glimpse into what may have happened in a plane crash that killed 4 people last month near Cedar City. ABC4's Bob Bador has our story from Studio B. So, Bob, what are federal investigators revealing they've discovered?
Well, Brian, we're seeing a bit of new information about the crash that took the life of Utah County Sheriff's Deputy Stephen Etchell and his wife and 2 others. Now, according to the report, Etchell rented the plane at the Spanish Fork Municipal Airport with planned stops around various parks in Utah. One witness said they saw a plane flying very low, about 200 to 300 feet above ground, before suddenly moving quickly left then right like a rocking motion. Now, another witness report matched the flying level, but said the plane banked very hard south across the highway as if it were trying to turn around in the narrow canyon. At that point, the witness says the wings were vertical and the plane didn't appear to have enough speed to pull off the maneuver. Now, first responders later found the wreckage while responding to a vegetation fire. From Studio B, I'm Bob Bedore.
Thank you, Bob. In West Valley City, we're hearing from the wife of the man shot and killed while sitting inside a car. Police say 45-year-old Pete Ulibarri was shot in the back of the head Thursday night. We're told he was taken to the hospital in critical condition, where his wife says he died the next day. She's now pleading for answers as police still work to find his killer.
I want justice. I want whoever did this to be, held accountable. I want to know, like, why. I mean, it doesn't make sense why.
Just heartbreaking for that family. Police say they found a car outside the hospital with a bullet hole through the back window, but at this point, they're not releasing any other information about his death or any suspects.
In Salt Lake City, police arrest a man at the center of a SWAT standoff they say cut someone with a knife. This happened Saturday night at a downtown apartment complex. Police say the victim had minor slash wounds. They identify the suspected attacker as 38-year-old Dallin Bundy. They say he ran into an apartment and refused to come out. That led to a standoff that ended with police arresting Bundy early Sunday morning on aggravated assault charges.
In Ogden, police are trying to figure out who shot a man over the weekend. Officers found a 19-year-old with a gunshot wound on his leg Saturday night. Now, this happened just a couple blocks away from Bonneville Elementary School. Details are limited, but we know police still don't have a suspect, and the victim has non-life-threatening injuries.
And it was a big weekend for athletes in St. George. The city hosted the Ironman World Championship. It was the first time that race was held outside of Hawaii. 2,800 athletes competing in St. George swam 2.4 miles at Sand Hollow Reservoir, biked 112 miles through the St. George area, and then ran a marathon. Christian Blumfelt of Norway won the men's title, while Daniela Wright of Switzerland won the women's, earning her the 5th world title.
So you don't just run a marathon, you also bike and swim all on top of it, hundreds of miles.
And you do it all back to back to back.
I've never felt so out of shape in my life, truly. I can barely walk on the treadmill.
That's why they call it the Ironman.
There we go. Guess I'm not the Ironman, that's for sure.
Well, we're still room for improvement, right?
Yes, room for improvement.
Still ahead here on Midday, the latest on the war in Ukraine. Hear what Russia's president is saying to his country as the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, makes a surprise visit to Ukraine.
Then it's a critical week in the abortion rights fight. We'll explain why as people go on strike across the country, including right here in Utah. And as we head to the break, let's take a live look at downtown Salt Lake City on this Monday afternoon, where it looks like we've traded in the rain for some sunshine out there. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Thomas Keyboy. Weather rates certified 11 years in a row.
Good afternoon, Utah. I hope that your work week's off to a great start. As we go from this afternoon into the evening, we'll continue to see drying conditions across our higher elevations, keeping that slim chance. But for us in the valleys, for the most part, that chance for wet weather has come to an end. It's going to be on the windy side, especially in southern Utah today. Temperatures are going to be well below our seasonal averages, but with windy and dry conditions in southern Utah, there will be some fire concerns here over the next couple of days. We'll lay that out coming up in just a bit. But we have high pressure that's trying to work its way in. We're still seeing a little bit of times of rain and snow very close to the Utah-Idaho line. We also could see maybe a rumble of thunder up there. Meanwhile, for the Wasatch Front, the chance for rain and snow more or less has come to an end, even though areas like the Wasatch Back and the Cottonwoods still have at least a small chance of seeing some additional snow as we go throughout the next couple of hours. Here's the view from the Hogle Zoo, getting a little bit of blue sky peeking through, but as you look past Immigration Canyon, got low-lying cumulus clouds, still seeing times of snow in those higher elevations, but it's really nice to see a nice fresh dusting of snow up on our mountains, because of course we'll take all the water that Mother Nature will give to us. Meanwhile, down at Canyonlands around Moab, it's looking kind of hard to see off in the distance, and that's because we have some pretty breezy conditions in the southeastern half of the state, and that's actually times of patchy blowing dust. And with the windy conditions and with the dry conditions, there's an elevated fire risk that stretches all the way from Washington County up towards Moab in the southern half of Grand County, while that critical fire risk stays to our south. But by tomorrow, we're going to see a change to that with increased winds. But those daytime highs today will be more than 10 degrees below our seasonal averages. Only low to mid 50s along the Wasatch Front. Logan likely stays in the 40s at 47, while Cedar City climbs to 57, 73 degrees in Lake Powell. And St. George will be especially cool for this time of year with a daytime high of only 71. And then into tonight with mostly clear skies and winds that will be a little bit calmer. That's going to be a recipe for some efficient cooling. We'll drop to 36 degrees in Salt Lake City. Make sure you're bundled up for that Tuesday morning, while St. George drops into the upper 40s. Chilly, mostly clear. And then by tomorrow afternoon, those winds are going to start to crank up once again. So let's begin the Futurecast at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to keep that slight chance for wet weather close to the Utah-Idaho line as that chance for wet weather in our mountains comes to an end in northern Utah. Tomorrow, as we start off, mostly on the quiet side, but tomorrow afternoon, winds are going to start to accelerate out of the southwest. And it is going to be quite windy, especially in south central Utah by tomorrow afternoon. But for tonight, I did want to mention that we do have a hard freeze warning for the eastern half of Box Elder County and also for Cache Valley, as overnight lows could drop as low as 25 degrees tonight. Make sure that you cover up any sensitive vegetation as we go into tonight. But talking about those winds, you'll see that by tomorrow afternoon, those winds are going to be accelerating. Could see some wind gusts potentially around, I'd say 30 to 40 miles per hour, maybe a few isolated wind gusts, maybe upwards of 50 miles per hour. That's going to lead to an elevated fire risk, possibly stretching north of I-70. As for St. George, we get patchy blowing dust for today, windy conditions for our Tuesday and Wednesday, but it will be a little bit milder before we eventually find our way back into the 90s this weekend. Then along the Wasatch Front, that chance for wet weather is ending, turning cold tonight. Middle 60s for our Tuesday. Then we have a slight chance for wet weather late Wednesday into early Thursday. But past that point, we warm up. We'll be back in the 70s for this upcoming weekend.
Thank you, Thomas. Now to the latest on the battle over abortion after a draft opinion was leaked showing the Supreme Court is poised to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, Catholic churches across the country are on high security alert over calls for protests by abortion rights supporters. ABC's Rena Roy has our story.
Coast to coast, heightened security at Catholic churches as protests continue over the leaked draft opinion out of the Supreme Court, showing the majority of judges support overturning Roe v. Wade. Anti-abortion rights organizations also on high alert, this one in Wisconsin vandalized and set on fire. In a statement last week, the court saying the draft opinion, which suggests the conservative majority on the high court plans to overturn the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling, quote, does not represent a decision by the court or the final position of any member on the issues in the case. Still, protesters back in front of the U.S. Supreme Court also taking to the streets in California.
Abortion is healthcare, and it's 2022. I can't believe we're having this conversation.
And Texas.
I do believe in the right to life, and I believe that this right to life is being denied.
Democrats vowing to take action, hoping to codify federal abortion rights protections. The Senate is expected to vote on Wednesday, though the measure will almost certainly fail in the 50-50 divided chamber, where Democrats don't have the 60 votes needed to overcome a filibuster.
If we are not successful, then we go to the ballot box. We march straight to the ballot box, and the women of this country and the men who stand with them will vote like they've never voted before.
There is no right to an abortion in the United States Constitution. The reality is that when Roe was decided in 1972, when Casey was decided in 1993, the judges simply got it wrong.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said a national ban on abortion could be possible if Republicans gain control of Congress.
The radical left has attacked.
If Roe v. Wade is overturned, laws governing abortion will be left to the states. So far, at least 26 states are certain or likely to outlaw abortion entirely, though recent surveys show the majority of Americans support upholding the 50-year precedent. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Now here at home, some Utah women are joining a nationwide movement this week to go on strike over federal abortion rights. It's the latest response to that leaked Supreme Court draft threatening to overturn Roe v. Wade. A TikTok user in New Jersey pitched the Mother's Day week strike to show mass opposition to the possible end to the right to an abortion. Protesters are encouraged to avoid buying things and contributing to the economy, and even stay at home from work if they can.
In a consumer alert, drivers are feeling the pain at the gas pump as prices continue to go up. Today, gas prices are within striking distance of yet another record high. Now, according to AAA, the national average for a gallon of regular gas is now $4.32. That's up 18 cents from last month and 1 cent below the all-time high set on March 11th. And the cost of diesel fuel soared to another all-time high this weekend, $5.53 a gallon.
Yesterday was the first time I ever filled my truck up and I hit over $1,000.
Yep, a lot of people feeling the pinch there. Now, fuel prices are being pushed higher by increasing demand and rising oil prices due to concern about less Russian oil entering the global market. Meantime, President Biden is announcing new sanctions on Russia today. This is President Vladimir Putin holds a massive ceremony in Russia's Red Square commemorating Victory Day. ABC's Ike Jachi has the latest.
Today, President Vladimir Putin, along with thousands, gathering in Russia's Red Square for Victory Day, a patriotic holiday commemorating Russia's victory over Nazi Germany in World War II.
Вы сражаетесь за родину.
Putin using his speech to try to justify his attacks on Ukraine, saying that they're responding to NATO aggression and that they're fighting for the security of our homeland. Still, Putin didn't escalate his rhetoric as some experts feared, never formally declaring war, a victory in Ukraine, or even what his next plans are. He also chose not to threaten Western countries. Ukrainian President Zelensky countering Putin by releasing a video of him walking an empty, barricaded street in Kyiv, saying, "We will not give anyone a single piece of our history." Zelensky also meeting virtually with the G7 leaders, including President Biden. The group announcing new sanctions on Russia, promising to cut off imports of Russian oil, sanctioning on Russian state TV networks, and imposing a ban on consulting and other services that support Russia's war. Elsewhere over the weekend, First Lady Dr. Jill Biden with a surprise Mother's Day visit to Ukraine.
I thought it was important to show the Ukrainian people that this war has to stop. And this war has been brutal.
That brutality ever present in the southeastern port city of Mariupol, where bombs continue to bombard the steel plant as the last Ukrainian troops are still holding out against Russian forces. So far, the Red Cross is reporting that over 600 civilians have been evacuated from that steel plant and the Mariupol area since May 1st. Now, altogether, the organization has helped facilitate the safe passage of more than 10,000 Ukrainian civilians from the region. Ike Jachi, ABC News, Washington.
In national news, a come-from-behind victory shocked the nation over the weekend at the Kentucky Derby. Here was the call down the final stretch.
Great strike is coming up on the inside. Oh my goodness, the longest shot has won the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, you can feel the excitement. Last-minute entry, Rich Strike broke away from the pack and won the Derby in the final seconds. At 80-1 odds, he was the second longest shot in race history. Now, for some perspective, if you put $2 down on Rich Strike, you would have made $163. Pretty good. All right, as we head to the break, let's take a live look outside, overlooking Cache Valley this morning and a cloudy Monday to start our week. We're back with more Midday after this. All right, finally on Midday, Georgia schools making a unique twist to their yearbook this year. This year's edition is 3D. A local university printed that 3D for a school of blind children graduating so they could see what their classmates look like.
That's genius, really cool. And also you can make yourself look cute. Best of both worlds, right?
One way to remember.
We'll see you tomorrow.
The Daily Dish is next.